Hey guys, welcome back to the Rookie Talks podcast. My name is Healy.
My name's Cooper.
As always, we are brought to you by Mint Mo Apparel. Check us out on Instagram at Mint Mo Apparel and consider something fresh. All right, let's get into it.
Carlos Price on the podcast. How you going, man?
Boys, how are you?
We're good.
Yeah, pretty
But
good.
this is
pretty
New
good.
Zealand Rugby podcast. Bit different from what we normally do. Bit of a new sort of episode where we give an insight into New Zealand Rugby. Because I know it is pretty hectic and it's really interesting. So yeah, we're going to start off with a basic intro of you, Carlos.
Yeah, I think the interesting sort of come from when we had Keenan on Hey Coops.
Mm.
And we got a little taste of New Zealand rugby culture, and everyone wanted a bit more. So Carlos is our man, and we'll hear what he has to say.
Awesome, boys. Well, thanks for having me. It's good to see the boys have gone a bit well. Obviously, I can talk to you since the start.
Yeah, you were there from the start.
And so it's good to see the boys doing well and pumping out some content, which is awesome. I guess just a little bit about me. I'm 21 years old. I went to school up in St. Kentigern College in Auckland. Played rugby there, and then when I left school 2017, I signed a 2-year deal down in Wellington. I played with the Lions and in the Hurricanes on and off. And then last year I moved to Hamilton, signed 1 year with Waikato, and enjoyed it there, a little bit closer to home. That was one of the main reasons I left. And then this year I was planning on moving overseas. I signed a deal overseas, but subject to visas, and obviously visas aren't available at the moment. So that's sort of fallen through, but it's all good. I think I'm probably heading back to Waikato for another year this year. That's just a little bit about me.
Yeah, sweet. And so what school did you go to?
St. Kentigern College.
St. Kentigern College. And is that one of the top schools over in New Zealand? Top GPS sort of?
Yeah, it is. It's quite renowned for its for footy. It hasn't always been though. Hasn't been. I think I can't remember the year, but there was a couple of years where it sort of just turned. A lot of people sort of dedicate it to, or it has a bit of a rep for bringing in people who aren't from the school on scholarships and things like that. So I don't know if you've seen it in the papers a bit, or it was a lot over here. It might not have been in Australia. It was like them talking about thinking poaching players and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
And guys, they had this big, all the Auckland schools kind of signed this deal that they wouldn't play St. Kitts. I think it was last year.
Wow.
They just started this big thing that, it's unfair. You guys take all the players and we're not going to play you. They ended up coming to a bit of a deal, I think, but it meant that all the players that hadn't been there for 2 years couldn't play in top 4 or something like that. So once you get past Auckland competition, they couldn't play anymore. So
damn,
that kind of shows how passionate everyone is about it over there. Hey, because it's a massive deal. Everyone, school rugby in New Zealand is huge, man, and the culture around it's insane. And you so what happened there was, then those players, you said they couldn't go past top 4. How does that happen?
I think they didn't even, from what I remember, I think it might not have been last year, it might have been the year before. I can't remember, but I don't even know if they actually made it past Auckland anyway, but they made the rules stated at the start that basically any player that hadn't been there for 2 years, because in New Zealand, obviously you have your different competitions. You have your,
right.
So let's say in Auckland, I played in Auckland school where we have a competition called the 1A, and then there's the 1B, which is like obviously the second tier. And in the 1A you play, it's like 11 round robin games, semi and a final. If you make the final and you win, you go on to the Blues region final. In New Zealand there's 4 or 5 regions.
Right.
And whoever wins those, they play each other at top 4, all 4. So there's 4. So one comes from the South Island, and all 4 play each other at top 4, and that's just like your nationals basically. That's the national semi and the national final. So they basically said that anything past 1A, the boys weren't, anyone that hadn't been there for 2 years weren't allowed to play anything further.
Yeah, and you were talking about you know, it was a bit hard. What's the competition like? I think it's pretty hefty. And when we were talking to some other boys that said just how big people were, and you just like coming into 15, 16s, and then you just see them shoot up and they'd just be huge.
Yeah, yeah. I even think it's more. Oh, actually, in all school work. So I actually went to school in a place called Tauranga. You probably haven't heard of that, but I went to Tauranga Boys, which was the main school here for rugby. And so I got to experience that, which is a different competition in a different region. I experienced that for three years. And then I went to school up in Auckland for my last two. So all of them, yeah, you're right. The boys are big. Is it not like that over in Aussie, or?
Oh, there's a few big boys, but we don't have the same sort of level of first rugby that you guys have. Like, as you were saying, you have that whole Auckland comp, and then you go out and play all these other schools. And I'm assuming everyone who plays first 15 is just huge. Whereas here for us, say like the level of footy, so we're from the Sunshine Coast. So the level of footy we play in the Sunshine Coast doesn't compare to the level of footy played in Brisbane, which and doesn't compare to what it's like in Sydney and stuff like that. So
I actually think it's almost a little bit similar in that sense, where there are different areas of New Zealand where rugby's a little bit stronger, and maybe not like the players, like one place the players are better and other place the players are worse. It's more, I think, the amount of teams that are really good at schoolboy level, like say in Auckland, is quite high. Like it's quite a hard competition to play in. Whereas somewhere like Christchurch, you know, like historically they've maybe had, you know, like two or three good teams down south.
all right,
always between those two or three. Yeah, boys are big. Yeah, a lot of cocos over here. So they're all playing footy.
Yeah,
yes,
I see a lot of them. That's why the systems are so good, because they'd all feed into the New Zealand rugby sides and stuff. So you'd be pretty stacked.
It's like obviously, I guess you can maybe almost compare it to, I guess, rugby league in Australia, where like union here is just like it's our national sport. You know, we're on and off with league, usually off, but like union, we're usually like, you know, we're competing a lot of the time. So I think it's just always sort of, you're growing up, every play or every kid's holding a rugby ball, and like it's not uncommon for half the girls growing up to be signed up to a rugby club. And it's just I guess it's a case of like it's the culture over here, and like when you grow up, obviously growing up in a culture like that, it's just hard not to sort of do a little bit better in it.
Yeah, and you're not going to miss any of the good players when everyone's growing up the same way, running around with a rugby ball. You're not going to miss. And some, like, I feel like you guys sort of get picked up. So someone from a smaller town and always ends up at a bigger school if they can throw a rugby ball all right. And it seems to me that a lot of talent in Australia goes unnoticed because they're from a small town and miss that chance to play in GPS or something like that.
Yeah,
I think you're always going to get that too, though. Like, there's always going to be those players out there that just don't get the exposure that they deserve. Like, there's always going to be a fucking gun player out there somewhere that we don't know about. And it's just like anything, you'll know, like business, but you could have the best product in the world, but if you can't show it, you know, it's hard to get up there.
Yeah, seriously.
Like footy, bro.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I found interesting from talking to people was actually the weight restrictions over the age instead. So he was saying he'd go on weight instead of age, but I don't know whether that's just for his part or it happens everywhere. That's one thing I want to know.
I've never played age restriction rugby, but
like the weight restriction rugby, like
sorry, weight restriction. Yeah, I haven't played weight restriction rugby before. I have seen, obviously, there's like, is there weighted rugby over in Aussie at all?
No.
I think it's more so like, so obviously like the smaller guys get an opportunity to kind of play with other guys like themselves, and obviously, like you guys said, there's a lot of big boys around here, and essentially that can be kind of dangerous for a lot of smaller guys. So I think they just opened that up for for that sort of situation. I don't know a whole lot about it because I've never sort of played the weight restricted rugby. I probably could have. I'm pretty small, so like I probably could have, but I never really went to that. I have heard something around there being a national weighted competition coming.
Yeah, it's called something like first restricted. So like any guys under 75 who just couldn't take the impact of the top side, but were still really skillful, played in a team against other teams that were under 75.
It's a cool idea, bro. I reckon that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, when I heard it, it was something different that I never heard of, especially in Australia. But it gives an opportunity for a lot of boys.
Because age grade rugby is like obviously people peak at different times, and as you would know, like you'll see a lot of 14-year-olds. Say even in New Zealand, you'll see a lot of 14-year-olds that are bigger than 19-year-olds. You know, so like there's different boys that peak at different times. I think it's a good way to sort of let everyone play the game.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think that's it kind of, rather than having these players who are really skillful, really talented, and not big enough to play it, and having to play 3rd division or 4th division rugby, they get to play this higher level of skilled rugby just against people who aren't going to run over them every time.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
All right, man. I've seen a few videos of just Hakas going absolutely crazy at schoolboy footy. Have you experienced one of them yourself?
Yeah. There's been a few like memorable ones. So when our school were at Tauranga Boys, so obviously again I was in a different region. So my first school I went to was in a Chiefs region, if you guys know the Chiefs. And we play in a competition called the Super 8, and basically it's just like 8 of the most prestigious all boys schools in North Island. And pretty much every week, every player or every team does a haka to each other. So every week, so it's like every team. It's so you go to like somewhere like Auckland, and maybe only two or 3 teams out of the whole competition ever do a haka, and sometimes they usually only do it on a very important game.
Yep.
But so at Tauranga we did it every week, and I think one of the most memorable ones for me at Tauranga would have been actually one of the ones against us. We were in the I forgot what you call it in New Plymouth Boys. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's like it's like a rugby field, and it's got seats like up. It's the gully. It's called the gully. Google
gully,
that,
right?
It's called the gully, and it's like you could be sitting at the top level of the stands, which are into the mountain, and you're probably only still 10 meters away from the field. So it just kind of goes straight up the side.
Yeah.
And what they do is they put their whole school, for traditionals, the whole school gets out of class and they come and they all sit on the sides, and you're standing there, and they all do the haka to you with their team. The team does the haka and they all do it, and you're just standing there in this gully and you're looking around, and there's all these fucking YouTube it. You'll see a lot of Plymouth Boys hakas that do it to everyone.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that on a video. I remember that was my first thought when we talked about it. Yeah, they're just the big hills, and you just see all the boys and girls lined up on the hillside and just doing the haka with the team. It'd be pretty confronting, but it'd be a big G up.
Yeah, it's mad, bro.
That'd give you chills, man.
It's kind of like because I don't think I've ever been in a team where we did it. You know, we had a school doing it with us like that.
Yeah.
So at St. Kitts we don't do a haka. There's no haka at St. Kitts. And I guess probably the best haka I've been a part of was either like when I played schools or 20s, one of them, like doing the haka that you sort of grew up watching the All Blacks do, like kamate. That was cool to do it on the field and be like, fuck, you're a part of it.
Yeah.
So that's probably my most memorable one.
Yeah, man. So I've seen videos where the entire school's behind them. Hey, I've seen videos where one school's on one side of the field and one school's on the other side of the field, and they all just go out with the haka. Like that's the type of culture that doesn't exist in Australia, man. It's pretty crazy.
I think you would have seen the Auckland Grammar vs Kings
That's probably it.
It's a very famous one. Every year they play on TV, and every year they do a school versus school haka like at the start of the game. Yeah, it's probably something you never. I've actually seen. You guys seen that video of South African schoolboy rugby?
Oh, I've seen a few.
Going around. Holy shit! The crowds there. Like, you think the New Zealand crowds are good? Holy fuck! You should see that. That is like
South African
next level, bro. I'll send you guys the video. It's like, yeah, I found it on TikTok, bro. It's actually like all the schools over there. They got these chants and stuff. It's unreal.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned just before, you played schools and 20s. How was those two experiences? Did they sort of? I've heard a lot about All Blacks culture. Did they sort of instill a lot of that in you guys?
Yeah. So it's like you kind of see and notice that all the how do you call it? All the levels taught the same stuff. Even right down to the haka coach, the guy that comes and teaches the haka. He goes to the schools, he goes to the 20s team, and he also does the All Blacks. So, and you can see when people do the haka, like, and what they do, you go, oh, he learned it from the same guy we did. Like, you can tell. And everything they, like every little thing that they do, I think they all taught the same thing. It's kind of weird. So like, I did it at schools, and then we did it at 20s as well. Like before every game, wherever we are. So we, like, for example, for 20s Oceania, we were at Bond University, and we, before the game, before we jumped in the or before we walked over the field, we all came into our meeting room, and they set up the chairs in a sort of like a horseshoe, and it's just 1 through to 23, and then you sit in your number, but it doesn't have a number on it. You just know you sit there, and then the non-players will sit on the end. You sit down. Coach comes in at a certain time, and we'll give you like a quick little spiel, like whether it be a G up or whether it be just something he wants you to focus on for the game. And then you go to the game, and they do it every time. They did it for schools, they did it for 20s, and I've also heard they do it for the All Blacks as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's a cool little setup. I never got to be a part of the World Cup. I only went to Oceania 2 years for 20s. First year I got injured. Second year I didn't get picked. So, but from what I experienced, in Australia, when we came to Australia, it's pretty surreal and pretty full on. Like, especially for boys that had just come out of school.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that they sort of stick with the same program the whole way through, and because like you hear, like I've heard a lot, even in Australia, I've heard a lot of stories about the All Blacks and how everything is. There's just such a culture about it, and if you don't follow that culture, that's almost worse than being a bad player. Like 100%. If you're a bad teammate, you'd get dropped before you had a bad game. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's a pretty special thing to have as far as a rugby side goes, because I know in Australian rugby and rugby league, a lot of people tend to get away with a lot of dodgy stuff. But
they're one of their main mottos was what you just reminded me of is they make good bastards. They want good bastards, not just good players. They're always, if you're sort of potent for the team, but you're the best player, it doesn't matter to them. Also, like a little thing where you also just reminded me of is they always talk about being a kid. So you're a caretaker of your jersey. You don't own it. So you got to make sure that when you come into the team that you're taking that jersey and you're putting it in a better place than you came in with it. So you never own it. That's basically the mentality you have to go into those New Zealand teams with.
That's really cool. I think I heard that
in an Artie Savea interview.
Yeah. Artie, they do it they obviously do it for All Blacks as well.
I wanted to touch on also how there's like a full channel devoted to schoolboy rugby, isn't it? You talked about it before. You'd see it on TV or something, but I don't know. I don't know if it's Sky News or something like that. I might get it wrong, but is there a channel or something for just for schoolboy footy? Because I know if that was in Australia, that would be psych. That would be so sick.
Yeah, it's a TV show.
Oh, okay, yeah.
College First 15 Rugby, and it's just basically every Saturday there'll be 2 games. There'll be one at 12:30, one at 2:30 from around the country, and they just bring out a TV schedule at the start of the year, and you see what games you've got on TV. And like some teams are really lucky with how many they get. Some teams don't get as many. Some teams might not get any. So it's like I don't know how they pick it. I guess they just pick the best games that will be on TV. We were really lucky at St. Kitts because we were quite like a prestigious school. We got quite a few games on TV.
Yep.
It is good though. Yeah, it's fun to watch too.
Yeah, it's cool. It brings the game to people that couldn't really get to the games or something like that. It just bring a lot more people and bring a lot more hype around it too.
It also, like, you kind of get used to playing on TV, if that makes sense. It kind of, I don't know, for some people it might not affect them at all, but for me, like when my first game on TV, like when I first went on, I was like quite I was really nervous. I don't know why, but it was because it was my first ever game on TV. And then like from that to like, you know, even like the next game or the game after that, like you just forget that the cameras are there, or even towards the end of that game, you forget the cameras are there. And it kind of gets you used to, like, if you come out of school and you start playing like Mitre 10 and that, and it's obviously always on TV, you're used to it. Some people might not even affect them, but for me at the very start, it did.
Yeah.
There's so much rugby on TV in New Zealand. Hey, like that Mitre 10, and then obviously the Super Rugby and stuff like that. Do you want to touch on that Mitre 10 competition quickly? Just what it is, how it's played? Because I know, like, personally, I've only just heard about it, so there's a lot of people who haven't.
Yeah. So Mitre 10 is basically our provincial competition, and so basically you have international, you have the All Blacks, then you have Super Rugby, which is obviously what you guys would know, Chiefs, Blues, Highlanders, and then over in your country as well. And then below that you have Mitre 10 and Wharapama Cup is for the girls. That's the same competition. And Mitre 10 is just basically all our sort of sub-regions. I don't know how you would because I don't know Australian cities very well. So like, I think it's like, so for us, the Chiefs region is quite a big region. There's only five of those super regions in our country. Yep. But within that Chiefs region, there's Waikato, there's counties, all that sort of stuff. So there's Taranaki. So like we have maybe 3 or 4 regions within each of our super regions, and those are the teams that play off in the competition. It only goes for like 2 months, maybe 2 months, August to end of August to end of October.
Yep.
But basically a lot of players that are trying to push themselves for Super Rugby. That's where a lot of players get picked up for Super.
Okay, yeah. That's what I was going to talk about. I wanted to see where after schoolboy rugby, because it's so built up, where all the boys sort of feed into, or whether they make the switch over to overseas or something, or they stay in-house in New Zealand, or?
I reckon something I've thought of like over the past few years, because obviously I've been through that system now where I've come out of school and gone through. There's like you go into academies, and I like, my personal belief is I feel like they should change it a bit. Like it should be, you sort of almost not like club rugby is kind of like guys who now play club rugby may not get as much of a chance as guys get thrown into a Mitre 10 academy. So you become the younger players on the team and you kind of come through the system and you're kind of the guys that get bred through, and then you'll be the odd club player. I almost feel like it should just be like, fucking just let the boys come out of school, just enjoy their footy, you know, like have a beer in the weekend after club footy game and just fucking press their case in club footy, and sort of pick it from there rather than chucking them straight into a system and obviously, in New Zealand it's very systematic where we come out of a schoolboy system straight into a Mitre 10 system or academy system, and once we graduate from the academy system we go into Mitre 10. And I feel like it should just be sort of, I believe that they should put a more hype almost around club rugby because it's cool competitions, bro. Like it's the grassroots of the game. Fuck, like we should be doing more of that, I think.
I know, I'd like to see more of it, eh?
Yeah.
I'd love to see a few games.
100.
Tell us about your experience going back a little bit when you first got into rugby and then coming into starting your first game and getting into the first. Basically, how was that sort of like for you? Because I know you said you started off at a local school, then moved for a scholarship, I'm presuming, to St. Kitts.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, man.
So like my first game at St. Kitts, or you like?
Or so
I got there?
when did you start and who got you into it, and then kind of roll on from there, man.
Okay, so I've played rugby since like I can even remember. Like I would have been like 3 or 4 years old. I think I was 3 years old, and I was playing at the local Mount Maunganui club. And we played like touch on Saturday morning, 7 o'clock. Frost on the grass, still icy feet. I still remember it, bro. And like I was that young that my dad tells me that I used to like see boys like playing with a frisbee on like off the field, and I just like fucking run off the field and I just go play frisbee with them during the game. I just had no idea, bro. And but that's just like all young people and who play rugby in New Zealand sort of grow up like that. And I played club here, just young club boy team. We played a lot of my closest mates today. We all played club rugby together right throughout our childhood. We pretty much carried the same teams throughout our whole childhood, basically the exact same team. And one of the boys' dads was the coach, or two of them. And we sort of, I guess, you moved from club rugby into schoolboy footy in college. So year 9, I guess, is that what you guys do too, or?
What was that? Sorry.
So like, you go from like you play club when you grow up, and then we get to like high school. Is that when you start playing away from club?
Yeah. So in Australia, there's a lot of. So we play club footy right the way through. So you can play footy right up through club footy right up through till grade 12. But a lot of GPS schools try and just keep you in and playing school footy. So that can even start like when you're in grade 8. That our GPS school will be like, just come play like schoolboy footy.
See, that's a little bit different. Where in New Zealand you get to like, I think it's under 13s. And then that next year you're supposed to be going to high school, and there's no club boy grades for you then.
Yeah, right.
So you get right through until you leave school, and then there's under 21s for all you boys that are leaving school, or obviously prem teams for club and that. You get forced to play not forced, but you play your under 14s for your school, your under 15s are for your school, and then after that it pretty much goes into first 15, second 15, things like that. But I guess I went to Tauranga Boys, and then I spent 3 years there playing footy. I played in the 14s, 15s, and I did a bit with the first 15 that year. And then year 11, I just full time first 15, and then year 12 and 13 went up to Auckland, played first 15 up there. I actually turned up. And a guy, so he's the backs coach for the Auckland Mitre 10 team now, Tyler. He was our school coach at the time. And when I first went up there, I'd obviously gone up on a scholarship, and I was, coming in to like play halfback for the school and things like that. And I think it was like 2 weeks before the first game, we had a touch competition, and we were playing touch as well. and we were playing like manhunt, bro, up in the boarding house. Like we were running around, and I like jumped off this balcony thing, and I rolled my ankle.
Oh.
2 days before the touch comp, and then the physio told me I couldn't play the touch comp, and I turned up to the touch comp, and the boys were I was getting frustrated watching, and I jumped on and I ended up playing because it was the Auckland championship day.
Yeah.
And I played that day and got called in on Monday morning as we walked into gym at like 6 o'clock. Ty called me out onto the deck, walked outside, and he's like, you were told not to play. And I was like, I felt fine. And it's like, you never go against medical advice. Like, could have really hurt yourself. I was like, he's like, you're dropped as of now. You'll trial for the second 15, and you'll come back and train with us when we think you're ready. And so basically because we trained a lot throughout schoolboy, like we probably trained like 8 to 10 times a week. I was not going to none of them, so I had to do my own training, and then I had to go to second 15 trainings for a couple of weeks. And I lost, like I didn't even start the first couple of games at school because the other boy was doing really well. And that was my introduction to St. Kitts, and then I sort of fucking pulled my head in, and then went away. We ended up winning the Auckland one in year 12. That was one of the best experiences I've ever had in year 12 when we won the Auckland comp. We're playing at Eden Park, 15,000 people there. Wow. It was just like basically school against school, bro. Everyone was pissed. Like everyone had just turned up pissed as, and there's probably like a row right down the middle that had no people. You could see the divide, and one side was St. Kitts and one side was Auckland Grammar, and they just at each other the whole game. And they just probably split it up so they didn't fight and shit. And I went out to, like, we had allocated times to go out and have shots at goal for goal kicking, because we had to warm up over the backfield. And so I came out for my allocated time to practice my goal kicking, and I walked out there by myself, and this was probably like half an hour, 20 minutes before the game, and everyone was already there, and they're all pissed. And I just walk out the thing, and I just looked up, and I was like, holy shit. And they just scream, like everyone just like starts roaring, like, and I was like, holy fuck. And I just like, I was out there like trying to practice my goal kicking, only person on the field, like with our trainer who was catching my ball. They were like, that was when I first was like, fuck, like this is, because I never experienced anything like that. Like we had some good crowds that year, but not like that. Yeah. And then, like, I guess one of the most memorable things that I can think of from school is we walk out to bagpipes every game. Yeah. Because our school has Scottish Celtic descent, so never have I ever liked the bagpipes, and now bagpipes will almost make me cry, bro. Like,
really?
You just think about. I just think about the times we're sitting in a changing room. We all huddle up and we go down on one knee and did a prayer before a game, and we just hear the bagpipes start and the drums start going outside. We hear them start warming up because they know we're about to come out, and then they just lead us out, and we just walk out behind it, and it makes you fucking tear up, bro. Like it's pretty, that's pretty awesome. I'll show you guys at some point. I'll show you one of the highlights of us walking out to it. It's fucking, might not hit you like it does me, but you'll sort of see what I mean.
I mean, you played in it, you experienced it, man. So that's an insane culture to have.
Do you guys have something at school that like sort of does that for you?
No, I wouldn't say for our school. So we're both played on the Sunshine Coast.
Pretty low key.
Yeah, Brisbane schools. So your GPS sides, Nudgee, Grammar, they have their chants that go, and they have like these pep rallies the day before a game, but nothing that even compares to that, man. So that's
crazy.
That is probably when we sort of chased this podcast, that's probably what we wanted to hear. Hey, was that sort of side of the culture. So that's pretty crazy. And
bro, and go on honestly, like I could just sit here for days and talk about moments like that where And I fucking bore you to death with it, bro. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
there's so many things that happen, bro, that like you just remember back and you're like, fuck. And they always say when you leave school that you'll never really feel anything quite like what you did at school. I even reckon even in the All Blacks, bro, if you played All Blacks, obviously I don't know, but like I don't think you'll ever sort of experience what the feeling you get when you play for your school here. And obviously you're representing all your peers, the people you see every day. They come out and support you, and it's just sort of like, you know, like they feel like you're sort of representing them, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And obviously school kids, we fucking get right into it when we're into something. So
Yeah.
but it's just awesome moments. I remember, like, I'll jump when we won. We ran up and jumped up into the stands, and I saw one of my mates from got a video of it, bro. It was on, like, they came onto us on TV. I like jumped up and he grabbed me because Eden Park's quite high to jump up, and they grabbed me and they pulled me up. All my mates, one of my mates that is actually from where I'm from, came up to Auckland school with me. He just grabbed me, bro, and I was just hugging him, bro. Started crying. He's like, "Fucking look where we are, bro. What the fuck? How we end up here? Like, who would have thought that we'd end up here right now?" So that's crazy.
Oh, that story, man. That gives me chills. That's insane, bro. Winning
That's
a
what
game
it's
like
all
that
about.
would be incredible.
Bro, it was the craziest game because we were up like, shit. I don't think like 2 points. We were up by 2 points, 17-15. With like 15 minutes to go, and they had like 3 penalty kicks to win the game, and they missed them all. And that one of them was 40 meters out, straight out in front, and this was on the final buzzer. This was the final kick of the game. And I think 3 years ago we had the exact thing against them. We had the exact thing against them. I wasn't there, but a guy called Willie Raya, he kicked the penalty to win the 1A against Auckland Grammar, pretty much in the same spot, and it was switched. And have you guys heard of TJ Faiane?
No.
He's
maybe
for the Blues.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard his name.
His little brother, bro, Wise Guy Faiane, he had the kick, and we were just like almost hands and knees, like on the ground, just like watching him kicking it, and we were just like, please miss, because this was the game. Like, if he got that, it was it.
Holy.
And we just saw it go to the. I remember I was on this side. I saw it go to the left, and we just sprinted over to the guy that caught it, and he just sprinted to the sideline, booted it out, and then we all just fucking ran straight to the crowd, and we all just jumped up into the crowd.
Dude, that'd have been stressful.
The highlights are still on YouTube, bro. I saw them like a couple months ago. Someone tagged me, and I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's memories, bro. It's something you don't forget.
That's the sort of stuff we wanted to hear, hey. Like, I just know all that sort of stuff is just hiding away that people don't hear, especially from where we are. Like, yeah, it's just, that sounds so sick. And I wish one day we can go visit it and watch a few games, because I reckon it'd just be such a cool experience.
Yeah, it's cool to like go and I sat in the crowd of one of the St. Kitts games, because obviously I'd only gone to St. Kitts for 2 years, and I played the whole time I was there. So I never actually got to be in the crowd and watch a game.
Oh, okay.
So when I left school, I came back and watched it. Like, fuck, it was just like crazy to be like, like this is watching it from here. It's different, eh? So
an old boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So from there, you moved into your professional rugby career. Just quickly, I know you said a bit about it before, but what was your experience like? Did you go into academy? You said, did you go into academy, or was it kind of just got picked up?
So I, you do like the way you do it in New Zealand. If you either come out of school and sign an academy deal, which is, I think they just top you up just to help you out, and then you just do like morning trainings and then a few afternoons, and you play for under 19s that year, and they just give you whatever it is, like 2.5 to 5 grand, something like that, just to tick you over, or you get a Mitre 10 deal when you come out of school, and then you basically train with the academy throughout the year, and then when it comes to Mitre 10, then you switch over and you play Mitre 10, and then obviously, but you get paid for your Mitre 10 throughout the year. So I went into Mitre 10. So I played academy I trained academy throughout the year. All us young boys did. There was a few of us, and then when it got to about August or July, we switched over into what Wellington's team's called the Lions, and we played there. My first game for Wellington was against Bay of Plenty, which is actually my home region, and it was in my home, which is crazy. So Wellington is like a 7-hour drive from where I live. My family live. So to have my first game back like by them, so they could go and watch that, was pretty cool. I think. Well, we won the championship that year. So in Mitre 10, you got 2 levels. You got the Premiership and the Championship. The Premiership, if you come last in the Premiership, the next year you go into the Championship, and whoever wins the Championship, the next year goes up into the Premiership.
So it's a relegation sort of.
Promotion relegation, yeah, bro. So you'll have 2 winners every year. You'll have a Championship winner and you have a Premiership winner. And then obviously the loser of the Championship, they have to play a game against someone who's not even in the competition to give them a chance to come up, I think. I'm pretty sure. So
that's so interesting.
We're in the Championship, but that year we had a crazy team, and fucking Canterbury won the Premiership that year. And that's like Canterbury is Christchurch, which is Crusaders, which is like Richie McCaw, Dan Carter, all that. They're all Canterbury.
Yeah. Yep.
So Canterbury, they're always very good, and they won the Premiership, and we won the Championship. And that year we beat them like 66-12. But we couldn't win the Championship because Premiership, because we were in the Championship. So
yeah.
We had Julian Salvia, Brad Shields, Artie played a few games.
Stacked.
Oh, bro, Matty Proctor, goes on, bro. We had a fucking stacked team.
No,
yeah,
awesome.
Cool.
That's crazy. You get a chance to play sort of with people like that, hey?
Yeah, it's like, it's weird the first time, especially in like I still remember like if you like go back and watch, it's still like when you go back and watch like the game footage that you have to watch, and like you hear it, like you say, like I pass the ball off the line out to Julian, and I'll be like, Price, and I hear that, and it's like, holy fuck, like, even that little shit still, like, I'm fanboying that kind of shit, bro,
Yeah, see, it's crazy, like, you guys sort of come straight out of school, and you can go and you're playing with All Blacks, like.
Your idols, like, probably your idols, like, that's
it is
so sick.
It is rare, like, really rare for that to happen in Australia. You know, you come straight out of school, and now suddenly you're with, you know, Wallabies and stuff like that too.
Mitre 10's basically the level you play at. It's basically, you could say it's a mixture of the players coming through, the guys that have just started and coming through, or the players who are playing Super Rugby but aren't All Blacks. Yep. That's basically the mixture of Mitre 10 teams, and then you'll get the odd All Black who is usually an All Black but isn't that year, or you'll get the players who aren't playing All Blacks that week, and they get sent down for the week. Like for 1 week we had, I played for my second year for Wellington, and we had Artie Sarvi and TJ Prenara come down for Wellington that week, and the coach told me that I was going to start that week, and it was going to be my first start that year, and then TJ was coming down. Fuck. So I'll put back on the bench, and but yeah, it is crazy to play with guys like that, and they're just like, once you get used to them, bro, they're just like everyone. They're just normal dudes.
Yeah.
You get along with all of them. They just fucking work really hard.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty special. All right, man. Cooper Denny, you got anything else to say?
If you don't know already, Carlos Price owns a clothing brand, so give yourself a quick shout out, man. I know a lot of people. I think
our 1,000
followers,
time, bro.
so it's the least we can do.
Mean, bro. I do a little streetwear clothing brand. We're about 9 months old now. You can find us _138 written out in words. That's basically it, bro. Yeah. Find us on
it'll
all
be on our
platforms under
story.
that.
Sweet as, man.
Thanks.
And hopefully get a chance to talk to you in the future. We've spent a fair bit of time talking to you since we started with Mintmo and then leading to Rookie Talks. So
We thank you for that too.
yeah, we thank you for that. And it doesn't really seem like it's you, but you've been a big part of it, so we appreciate that.
No, it's awesome to see you guys doing well, boys. And obviously, I said on my thing, the only reason I try and teach is to help people that are in the same situation as me. Because we're pretty much in the same situation, bro. And I guess it's easier to learn off someone else's mistakes than make them yourself. So that's just what I'm here for, boys. And awesome to see how well you guys are doing. And if you need anything, boys, hit me up.
Cheers. We appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Awesome,
you.
brothers.
All right, bro. You have a good one.
All right. Sweet, boys.
Bye.
Cheers, bro.